My name is Mohamed Gad. I'm the ambassador of Egypt in Addis Ababa and permanent representative of Egypt to the African Union and the UN Economic Commission for Africa. For the program of the Egyptian chairship of the Peace and Security Council, the Council began with a field visit to Cairo and to Port Sudan during the period 1 to 4 October. In Cairo, the Council met at the League of Arab States, particularly with the Secretary General, His Excellency Ahmed Gad, to discuss issues of intersection between the peace and security situation in Africa and in the Arab world. The issues, of course, related to the situation in Libya, the situation in Sudan, the situation in Somalia, but broader issues on international peace and security, including at the borders of our continent, where, as you all know, Egypt shares the border with the Gaza Strip and the unfortunate onslaught and tenacious conflict that is occurring in Gaza. That is also an issue of concern to both the African Union and the League of Arab States. In the meantime, the visit also coincided with meetings at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Egypt, where we had a very fruitful discussion with His Excellency Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt. The exchange as well comprised discussion on the situation on the continent, the high sensitivity of ongoing conflict in Sudan, in the Sahel area, in Somalia, and many other places on the continent as well, including DRC, of course. There were also thematic issues on the need for upgrading the interaction of the African Union in international fora, particularly given the new status accorded to the African Union in the Global Counterterrorism Forum that Egypt also currently co-chairs with the European Union. Likewise, there has been a frank discussion on the need to upgrade the African Union's sanctions regime. There was a debate about this issue. Currently, as we know, there are 6 countries under sanctions in the African Union, and the engagement of the African Union would benefit from a consideration of how to fine-tune and ensure that the AU does not fall into the challenge of adopting a one-size-fits-all. Likewise, the visit also coincided with the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the AU Commission and the Egyptian Police Academy through its Egyptian Center on Police Peacekeeping Training. This is an AU Center of Excellence, and the engagement and the signing of the MOU was really would open a vista of cooperation between the AU in issues of peacekeeping with this Center of Excellence. Likewise, a very important part of the visit to Cairo was the convening of the 34th session of the Peace and Security Council on the nexus between peace, security, and development. This, of course, coincides with the anticipated official inauguration of the African Union's Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Development Center that is located in Cairo, and we look forward to its inauguration next month in November during the 4th edition of the AU Awareness Week on Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Development. The session looked at all the efforts that have been undertaken over the years, in fact, going more than a decade ago, on the issue of the nexus between peace, security, and development. It's important to place the discussion as well into the full peace, or if you want to be a little bit more precise, conflict cycle of the various conflicts that occur in the continent. And it is important to ensure that the root causes, the tenure of the conflict itself, and the post-conflict be linked into a complete cycle in order to be able to better examine this conflict. Now, the convening also coincided 3 months after the conclusion of the Aswan Forum that was held in Egypt in late June, early July of this year, and it witnessed some very fruitful discussions, including high participation from African member states as well as the Commission, with the participation of the AUC chairperson. The visit to Cairo, of course, also coincided with a visit to Port Sudan. As we all know, Port Sudan, since October 2021, has been suspended. Nonetheless, there was a desire by the Council since back in 2021 to undertake a visit. Over the months, of course, and particularly during April 2023, with the unfortunate breakout of violence that we are still witnessing in the brotherly country of Sudan, the Council has announced, at least in 9 communiques, a desire for the Council to undertake a visit. As such, this was placed on the top priority of the Egyptian chairship of the Council for the month, and that field visit was undertaken on the 3rd of October. I think the visit was done for a number of objectives, primarily as a solidarity, an expression of the Council being in solidarity with Sudan, with the Sudanese authorities, with Sudanese stakeholders. The second purpose is to ascertain the situation on the ground, facts on the ground, to be able to directly, from the interlocutors, from the parties on the ground, to be able to ascertain how the situation was. Now, this is not saying that the African Union over the previous months has not engaged. Indeed, it has. Nonetheless, the Peace and Security Council itself has only gotten so far second-hand information, and it was important, therefore, to establish this direct link. I believe the third objective was to also listen directly to the stakeholders in Port Sudan as to what the contribution of the African Union, particularly of the AU Peace and Security Council, is, and what is required of the Council and the AU at large to be able to support a Sudanese-owned peace process. We highlighted again the significant step of achieving a ceasefire, but also we underscored the importance of humanitarian access. The visit, of course, was, we had the honor to be received by Lieutenant General Burhan, the chair of the Sudanese Sovereignty Transition Council. We also had an opportunity to meet with the Sudanese civil society and various political parties. So I believe this will set in motion a new dynamism in the engagement of the Council on the issue of Sudan. And over the coming weeks, we have important engagements on Sudan that we believe will advance the prospects for a settlement, nonetheless, importantly, a ceasefire at its top. Now, this has so far been the first week of the Council's engagement. We also have an important engagement coming up during the period from 14 to 19 October, which is the 18th informal consultation between the African Union Peace and Security Council and the United Nations Security Council, as well as the 9th formal joint meeting. As we all know, this is an annual engagement between both councils that are exchanged between Addis Ababa and New York. This year, the Council will be traveling to New York, and on the agenda are the important issues that both councils have on their agenda, including country situations such as Sudan, Somalia, the DRC, and the broader region of Sahel. It also has very important substantive issues that will be addressed, including the issue of women, peace, and security, the issue of climate change and its impact on peace and security, as well as standard items of discussion, such as the working methods between both councils. This will also coincide with a very first event that will happen on the margins, which is a public forum, a lecture and a roundtable discussion that the African Union Peace and Security Council will convene and hosted by Yale University in New York State. We believe that this is an opportunity to exchange with American academic institutions the situation of peace and security on the continent, and to engage with academia, with think tanks in the global north on the important issues of the day on our continent. Now, in addition to these visits, there are important sessions that the Council will also be looking at. Primarily, there will be a session on the activation of the Peace and Security Council Subcommittee on Post-Conflict Reconstruction and Development. This, as I had indicated earlier, comes with the anticipated inauguration of the AU PCRD Center in Cairo, as well as the recent adoption of the AU policy on post-conflict and post-conflict reconstruction and development that was adopted at the last summit in February 2024. We believe this subcommittee will advance the work of the Council, particularly as more space is being devoted to the consideration of the issue in the various pronouncements, communiques of the Council on the various situations in the continent. There will also be an opportunity to receive, discuss, and opine on the report of the Commission on terrorism. This is a report, a periodic report that is presented, and the issue of counterterrorism, combating of terrorism is, of course, a priority of the African Union. One of the other novelties that the Council will do this month is a very first meeting between the Peace and Security Council and the PRC Committee on Budget and General Supervision. Of course, the role of both the PSC and the PRC, particularly its budget subcommittee, when it comes to the issue of financing African Union's peace support operations, when it comes to the African Union Peace Fund, are of such an important nature that it is important to have this coordination, and we would urge that this becomes a periodic meeting as well between these two important bodies. Of course, bearing in mind the evolution of the discussion on a post-ATMIS mission in Somalia that is anticipated to begin on the 1st of January 2025, the Council will also have an important session to consider the situation in Somalia. Also focusing there will be a discussion on protecting state institutions. I believe this will be an important part of the global debate that we're having both here in Addis Ababa and particularly as well in New York in the UN Security Council. Now, having said all of this, there are also time to have two open sessions, meaning that they will be open to participation from non-members of the Peace and Security Council. One will be on women, peace and security. We will have the privilege of hearing directly from the AU High Envoy, Madame Bineta Diop, And of course, it's a particular privilege for Egypt to preside this, as the last time that Egypt chaired the Council back in 2021, we also had this session to consider the situation of women, peace and security. And the second will also be an open debate on climate, peace and security. This comes as the AU is anticipated to adopt its climate, peace and security strategy. Really a work that has been undertaken now for a significant period of time, ever since COP27 that was held in Sharm el-Sheikh in the African continent. And we believe that the Council has really made many pronouncements on this very important topic that really is one of the instigators of conflict on our continent. We hope, of course, to proceed with the schedule, barring any developments that there might be some additional issues on the schedule. Yet we believe that this provides an overall a balanced approach with prioritizing some urgent discussion of conflicts on the continent, and ultimately our aim, as with all our brotherly member states on the Peace and Security Council, is to ensure that there is a real and genuine contribution to our aim of silencing the guns in Africa. Thank you very much.